Have you ever watched Dragon Ball and thought to yourself, damn, I wish I could do that? Well, now you can, with Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. We'll be talking about how Sparking Zero absolutely lives up to the gargantuan series that is Dragon Ball, as well as some drawbacks that may or may not upset a few die-hard fans, so let's talk about it. At its core, Sparking Zero is a fast-paced 3D arena fighter that delivers some crazy over-the-top battles, which is what the series is known for. The combat focuses heavily on dashing, teleporting, ki blasts, combos, and more. And we also have some new mechanics called skill count, short dash, and revenge counter that makes the battle much more fluid. Once you figure out all the intricate mechanics, your battles start to feel more rewarding than ever, especially for players willing to invest the time to learn all the ins and outs in the training mode. While it's not as technical as Dragon Ball FighterZ, Sparking Zero has enough complexity to keep even seasoned players engaged. But that's without mentioning one of Sparking Zero's most significant downside, which is its steep learning curve. New players will find that the tutorial doesn't really explain the advanced mechanics that well, so we're left to figure out the deeper aspects of combat on our own, and it can feel very overwhelming without proper guidance, and it creates this very tough entry barrier for newcomers. Moving on to the graphics, it is one of Sparking Zero's most charming aspects. Sparking Zero runs on Unreal Engine 5, and the team at Spike Chunsoft have absolutely been able to replicate the late Akira Toriyama's iconic art style. They even bought the original voice actors for the characters, so it all just feels very authentic and true to the source material. Every fight you partake in looks absolutely gorgeous and flashy. Your moves are enhanced with these crazy lighting effects, and the camera is dashing all over the place. Even going Super Saiyan or launching a spirit bomb just felt really powerful like it does in the anime. The attention to detail in the environment is also quite impressive, where it just gradually gets destroyed as you battle it out, or when you transition from land to water to the sky. So if anything, it's very clear that this game wants you to feel unstoppable like a Dragon Ball character. There's also a new first-person mode in certain story cutscenes, and it allows us to get a POV of that character, which really adds to the immersion. Puff, you are getting beam cannon. It does feel out of place in some areas though, where we're just getting a POV of people talking. So this gimmick would have benefited more on focusing on key moments like an epic fight, but still it is an interesting addition. While the game looks stunning in many places, it also has moments where it just feels a bit anticlimactic. It's just the stark contrast of the epic battles, followed by bland cutscenes of static character models in like a slideshow presentation. The moments like Goku's first Super Saiyan transformation just kinda gets watered down a little, which is a huge difference compared to the raw emotion you get from the anime. Overall, the slideshow style presentation does help to summarize what could have been like a long anime episode, but with such stunning graphics, the game's most iconic moments just felt pretty anticlimactic. And somewhat related to graphics, the main menu's transitions were pretty beautiful and fun to watch, where Goku flies between the different areas for the features, but it gets a bit tedious and slow after a while, especially if you're switching between modes a lot. The game's UI also feels a little bit clunky and frustrating to navigate, especially when you're scrolling through a massive roster of characters in a list. Speaking of the roster, that is one of Sparking Zero's most impressive features, which is its massive character roster of over 122 fighters, making it one of the largest lineups in any Dragon Ball game. The large quantity doesn't skimp on the quality of the characters though. The level of detail and care put into each and every fighter is really incredible to see, no matter how prominent or obscure they might be in the series. Every fighter has their own unique moveset, signature attacks and transformations that really do the source material justice. Despite the variety of characters though, Sparking Zero doesn't really strive for perfect balancing, which we think is a deliberate choice. The power levels of each character is reflected really well in their moveset, and it's always fun to try out some unfair matchups. That imbalance of just thinking, like what if this guy fought this guy, really adds to the game's charm. But your entertainment could be cut short though, as the power level unbalancing does come with its obvious drawbacks of being extremely difficult and a little bit unfair. The AI is incredible at using defensive moves, like it's almost near perfect, so you'll have to fully engage with the mechanics and just lock in if you really want to land a proper hit. And while it might be frustrating, it's all the more rewarding to come out on top of an unfair matchup, which is like an underdog type situation. In terms of the single player experience, what sets Sparking Zero apart from the previous entries is the new introduction of what-if scenarios in the episode battle mode. The episode battle is the heart of Sparking Zero's experience, which allows us to relive key moments from the Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Super sagas, and well, it is an absolute treat for longtime fans that are familiar with the storyline. But moving back to the new what-if scenario, without spoiling too much of course. This essentially creates branching paths from the canon story, and it allows players to explore alternate storylines. For example, we can choose to let Goku defeat Raditz without sacrificing himself, and trigger what's called the sparking episode, which is the special what if scenario, and the outcome will be completely different from what we know. This new addition really just jogs your imagination, and it's especially fun to think, what if this happened instead? Problem is, some of them don't really hit the mark. Some storylines, like Vegeta, had a very satisfying what-if outcome, but there are some other paths that just felt a bit flat. There are just some anticlimactic outcomes that just end with a, oh yeah, he won, or yeah, that happened and this happened, before just returning to the original plot. The problems don't end there though. While the what-if outcomes add replay value, some story arcs are just skipped over entirely, which might be frustrating to hear for longtime fans. Some of the what-ifs also can be very difficult to unlock. You'll have to face a strict time limit while fighting multiple opponents, all while not having health regeneration. And this, along with the steep learning curve to begin with, might feel frustrating to some players who just want to discover all the scenarios. Once you complete the main storyline, the game introduces the custom battle mode, which allows us to create our own dream matchup between any character, and the possibilities are nearly endless, and it allows a lot of players to just create their own what-if scenarios that aren't provided by the game already. You are provided a bunch of tools to customize the character, battle conditions, text presets, camera angles, scenarios, background music, and many more. It's also cool to see some unique team interactions whenever you put certain characters together. What's unique is that the custom battles can be shared online for others to enjoy, and you can also download new ones to try for yourself. Still, there are some limitations to the tools. For one, the cutscene editor has a very limited selection of angles and scenarios, so it's quite tough to make exactly what you want. The preset text also lacks some voiceover options, which we think is a huge missed opportunity. Despite these minor drawbacks though, this community-driven content feature really adds this endlessly growing amount of fresh content outside of the main game, which again adds a lot of replay value. Besides the main meat of the game, Sparking Zero also has a bunch of smaller little details that just makes the game feel more complete and charming. There is this new RPG type element through Zen-O's orders that lets us complete challenges to earn items and in-game currency, which can be used to purchase characters, outfits, and items. Wiz's Stamp Book also adds a lot more replay value in the form of more objectives and rewards, including Dragon Balls. We can also summon Shenron, Porunga, or Super Shenron to make a wish, which is a way to use up the Dragon Balls you've been collecting. The game has this extensive encyclopedia that tracks all of your character stats. And most interesting of all, there's this quirky girl talk feature that lets Chi-Chi, Bulma, and Riddle to offer some goofy commentary on the fighters, which is quite wholesome to watch. While these little details are only a fraction of the entire game, they go a long way in making Sparking Zero feel like a proper celebration of the series. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is more than just a game. It is essentially a comprehensive celebration of everything fans just love about Dragon Ball. Its deep and complex combat system is complemented really well with the stunning graphics and effects, making you feel as powerful as a Dragon Ball character. The episode battles with the what-if scenarios also strikes a nice balance between nostalgia and innovation, and all the little details from the character models, community-driven content, and humongous roster really makes Sparking Zero a complete and charming game. Despite that, it does come with its flaws. The power level balancing can feel off at times, and certain moments in the story just fall a bit flat. The steep learning curve, followed by the lack of comprehensive tutorials, can make it quite overwhelming for newcomers. But even with these flaws, they don't really retract from the whole experience too much. Overall, we think that Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is a must-play for die-hard fans, while still providing an engaging and interesting experience for newcomers. And for our score, Vegeta, what does the scouter say about his review score?
It's over 9
out of 10. And that concludes our review of Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. Do you agree with what we said? And which character will you main? Let us know down in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for future videos just like this one.